What's up? This is a quick tutorial on how to fix broken font colors on the Death Star HUD. I have a range research window open right now. On first glance, it might look like everything is working correctly. There's at least two categories of font color which are actually broken on this output. First, if you have a look at any check stats, for example, in the case of where it says skip CBET in position, not only are those stats the wrong color, but they're actually smaller than all of the other stats on the pop-up. Have a look at some of the raise stats. For example, we can see it says versus turn probe raise is 6.9. We see that the raise color is red, the same color as the bet stats. If the colors are working correctly on your version of the Death Star HUD, any raise stat will have its own unique color. So we'll see what this pop-up should look like after we fix the font colors. First step is to navigate to the directory where the font information is stored. So you can see here it's C drive, program files, hand to note, config, then templates, then fonts. And we see the list of fonts that are available. Towards the bottom, we'll see the stats which are supposed to be loading up as part of the Death Star HUD. We've got Weasel's Bet font, Weasel's Cool font, Weasel's Check font. You get the idea. For some reason, these fonts are not working. As far as I can tell, the reason why is that when hand to note looks for these fonts, it doesn't look for the name of the fonts. It looks for that code which is next to the name of the font. So we're reading, for example, Weasel's Bet font, whereas hand to note doesn't care about the name, it's actually looking for that code there, 134836. So what's the problem here? It appears that there is a conflict. If we just search for the first four numbers in that code, 1348, I'm going to search the entire folder, we can see there are two stats there. We can see Weasel's Bet font, and we can see the HUD primary raise font, and both of these fonts have exactly the same code. So what would normally happen is when we upload our fonts that we want to use, it would typically overwrite a font that has the same name. But because hand to note's not looking for the name, it's looking for the code, it hence doesn't get overwritten, we now have two fonts with the same code in the folder. So hand to note, it's got this instruction, it's looking for the font with code 1348363904. It's just going to take the first one it sees, more than likely. And in this case, it's not going to be the right one. So how can we force hand to note to use the correct font? Well, we can simply delete the font that we don't need to use anymore. So if I now delete, for example, HUD primary raise, we now know that hand to note is definitely going to use the correct font when it's looking for the font with that code, because there's now only one in the folder. Now, of course, that's not the only font where there's going to be a duplicate font in terms of the code number. For example, if we try some of the other stats here, let's have a look at the raise font. So we've got 2708 on that one. Let's just type that in the search box. So we can see we've got Weasel's raise, we've got HUD common raise. Let's delete that one. We're not going to need it. Unfortunately, it could break some of your other config. What's going to happen now is instead of loading those defaults, it might load my fonts instead. It seems the way the system is designed, maybe it only supports a finite number of different fonts. Not really sure. But certainly this is one solution to fixing the fonts for the Death Star HUD. Now it's going to take 10 minutes or so because we'll have to go through every single stat here. Let's move on to the fold font and see if there's a duplicate. So that starts out with 7542. So let's just search for that in the top right. If there's a duplicate, we're going to delete that. Next we have the check font. Notice that starts with a minus, so don't forget the minus, so it's -317. Let's try that. So the -317 doesn't work, by the way, as we can see here. The way you can fix that is just include the first square bracket. Perhaps it's passing that minus sign, I'm not sure. Perhaps it has some kind of significance for the search box. If we put the bracket there first, we can now see the common fold stat is interfering, so let's delete that. Moving on, there's two cool fonts which there probably shouldn't be. Let's just make sure neither of them are conflicting in this case. So HUD primary cool, let's delete that. And we have one final cool stat. Unclear why there's two, but the key point of this tutorial is to Understand how to fix the broken fonts first and foremost, but also to get a glimpse into how Hand to Note is looking for and finding different types of font in the folder. And you can see the key there is understanding that specific code that it's looking for rather than the name of the font. We actually have two fonts which are conflicting with that, so we're actually going to delete both of those. Alright, so at this stage the HUD should now be working, but it's probably going to be a good idea at this stage to just restart Hand to Note just so it can get to grips with the new fonts that it should now be looking for. So after everything has been restarted, we're back now in the range research. Hopefully we notice the key differences. We now see the skip stats are the same size font as all of the other stats. They're now in this bright cyan color, and we can see the raise stats are now in pink. We'll just check out another pop-up as an example. So this is the flop pop-up on the Tiderian set of pop-ups. So we can see same color system throughout all of the pop-ups, or at least it should be. We have re-raise or raise in pink. We have check in the light cyan color. We have cool in the slightly darker blue color. We have the fold stats in green, and we have the bet stats in red. So previously in the early versions of the HUD, the raise and the bet stats were the same color, and the skip and the cool stats were the same color. So the check and the cool stats were the same, bet and raise were the same. Now there's a distinction between each of them. So bet is red, raise is pink, check is cyan, and cool is the darker blue color. So it's recommended to put in the extra time just to configure the HUD, make sure the HUD fonts are working, because it'll be easier to recognize what type of stat we're looking at as we bring up the pop-ups.